Hello, my name is Pylon John. Welcome back to the boomtown of Montmaquis. And it looks like Colossal Order may finally have fixed that bug, the one that would cause you to leap to the next milestone upon loading a saved city. Anyway, at the end of the last episode, we came up with a nice long to-do list, so we'll get started on that in a moment. But first, it looks like we have our first fire. A forest fire, but I think it's just this one tree. So I think we'll be okay. The first thing on our to-do list is getting started on building a downtown. And I think I'm going to do that by extending the old town to the east. At least I'm assuming it's the east. I should probably check with the position of the sun. This will be a slightly less old part of town, I guess, and the blocks will be a little bigger. I had such a bad time trying to extend the seawall that I almost caved and added my first mod, the extended road upgrades. But then I remembered I could just use the dev mode and bypass validation results and build pretty much whatever I want, wherever I want it. And so I think that looks pretty smooth. Here's the road layout that I came up with, but I forgot to reattach the water pumping station after having to move it over. Now, before we tackle the next thing on our to-do list, I want to name one of our residents after one of my subscribers. Menna Higab commented on my last video with the task she thinks we should tackle first. So we've got a teen here, and we'll follow her around and see what she gets up to. In a totally non-creepy kind of way, of course. With an increasing population and rising medium density residential demand, these mixed-use zones are filling in nicely. All right, according to Menna, the first thing that we should do is take care of waste management. So I'm building a bit of a complex here, starting with a landfill. I considered a few different locations other than next to the river, but anyway, we'll add a recycling center next to it and hit milestone 7, Busy Town. Here we unlock an increased loan limit, which I probably won't use, ore mining, which I might use later on, and gated community, which I definitely won't use. Anyway, I decided to move the landfill to the other side and put the recycling center here, except I realized I put it in backwards and have to fix it. Now, I've seen a couple of other YouTubers do terraforming in their rock quarries, but I haven't seen anyone do it in their landfill, so I thought I'd give that a shot and make it look more realistic. I decided to add a hazardous waste extension to the recycling center, which increases its processing speed a little bit, and also plant some trees and bushes. And plant a whole whack of trees around it. A waste management facility isn't the nicest thing to look at. I may have gone a little overboard in building this huge complex, but it should be able to manage our city's waste for a long time to come. All right, now this is a slightly more worrisome forest fire here, right next to our livestock farm. Let's see if we can assist our firefighters here by just deleting all of the trees around it. Of course, the ones that are already on fire can't be deleted, but the rest of them. The next thing on our to-do list is to improve our city's Wi-Fi coverage. We do have a little radio mast in the old town, but that's not going to cut it. Now, in the development tree, we can either go for a server farm or a telecom tower. And after a little research, I decided to go for the server farm. Its coverage area is about half that of the telecom tower, but so are its initial construction cost and its upkeep cost. And our town isn't exactly sprawling anyway. I initially added it here next to our other city service buildings, and it looks pretty good. But it hasn't exactly had much of an impact on our internet service just yet. Okay, that's better. Next on our to-do list is taking care of some of our production deficits, and I think we'll start with a stone quarry. No, actually, on second thought, let's do wood first. We've got a lot of forest here, but that might be complicated because of the interchange right there, so I think we'll do our forestry industry here. Alder produces 2,000 in wood. When fully grown, oak is about the same. Birch 2,000 whatever of wood, but pine produces 3,000. So maybe we should fill in the empty spaces with pine. Of course, without mods, those will take some time to grow. So I extended the road from Michelet, gave them a little driveway, and placed our forestry building before tracing out the industry area to cover most of this forest. It's pretty serendipitous that this street was automatically named Mill Lane, but it really should be in French, so let's call it Rue des Bûches. Our revenues are now back ahead of our expenses, thanks in large part to this huge surplus of wood. We're still in deficit with grains, livestock, and vegetables though. Anyway, next up is rock, so let's buy a couple more tiles so we can put our quarry up here. At least for now. I plan to develop this area later. And there we go. You know the drill by now. Plop down the main industry building and then trace out the industry area around it. Once again, I'm going to do some terraforming to try to make it look more interesting and realistic, but it's a bit of a waste of time with the stone quarry because the texture is so flat and you can see it from the side, but not really from above. Whatever, our revenues are now through the roof thanks to our forestry industry, but our stone industry is, wow, that's fantastic. Once this machine appears, it flattens out the terrain and makes terraforming an even bigger waste of time. Before moving ahead with our to-do list, I decide that it's going to require an expanded city services complex, and where it is now isn't great long term, so we're going to extend this road and move it all over here. But I want to leave room for an eventual cargo train station, so I'll use a dirt road to mark the edge of that. And after quite a bit of shuffling around, here's what I came up with. We have our server farm here. The post office has returned. I think this is a better spot for it. It's a little more industrial looking. Then we have our park maintenance depot, our new taxi depot. We'll have some space there to plant some trees. Road maintenance depot and our new bus depot. We are now ready to offer bus service to all those whiny children complaining about the long walk to elementary school. So our expenses have spiked, but the even bigger story here is that our revenues have collapsed. Part of that is our livestock farm being abandoned. So let's give them tax-free status and encourage them to come back. Please come back, please. We've got another problem over here though. Our stone quarry has also been abandoned. Wow. Well, there is somebody here. Kelly Taylor apparently likes to hang out at the stone quarry for fun. Let's give rock tax-free status as well. And Kelly is just out here having the time of her life at this stone quarry. And I'm not knocking it, I'm not judging, but whatever. That reminds me, I wonder what Menna's been up to. And looks like she's home. 44 Rue de la Cathédrale. There is no cathedral yet, but there will be. And she's sleeping. I turned off the day-night cycle, so it's not obvious that it's the middle of the night right now. And it looks like they just moved in. Now I'm getting ready to place my very first bus stops. And I want to get them about 300 to 400 meters apart. But the only measuring tool we have is roads, so we've got to use those. Now we have the European-style bus stop or the European-style bus shelter. And considering the climate, I'd love to use shelters, but they don't really work on the pedestrian roads. I'll place them on these other streets though, and then connect them to create bus lines. We have a loop going clockwise and counterclockwise around the old town, and one that'll run along Chemin de la Résistance to take workers to the factories. And here come our shiny new buses, rolling out of the bus depot. And here they are, some of the very few vehicles allowed on our waterfront promenade. But those spoiled kids are still complaining about the long walk to school. I forgot to get rid of traffic lights where these roads merge. Back to our production window, we can see that our forestry industry is killing it, but we are producing zero livestock or stone. In fact, our livestock farm has collapsed and we've got to rebuild it. Hopefully someone will move back in soon. Our stone quarry is sadly also still abandoned. Maybe if we make it smaller, the operating costs will be less expensive. Didn't I just rebuild this? And now it's collapsed again? Disaster response units unavailable. Yeah, we don't have that yet. Oh, thank God, the police are on their way. I'm sure they'll save the day. Or they'll just back up through some rubble and through a pillar and back up through the pillar and drive away. I think our buses should be electric buses, so I added that upgrade to the bus depot. Looking at our transportation overview, we can see that our bus lines are being used, but barely. Anyway, if we select a line, that'll give us the option to switch to the electric bus. I'll leave the ticket price alone for now, but we can decrease the number of assigned vehicles. And I'll have it run only during the day. Maybe that'll save us money? I think it did in CS1. Looking at workplace availability now, and we can see that our forestry industry is by far our largest employer. 62 of 65 workplaces are filled. After that, we've got our waste management complex. Let's try to satisfy some of this commercial demand by starting to zone the other side of our incoming highway connection, our slightly less old town. Let's try gradually increasing the size of our lots from 3 to 4 and eventually 5 units deep. Now, I almost forgot that we've unlocked our first signature building. I thought it would be the pop musician mansion or the theater actor mansion based on what I saw in the earliest playthroughs, but we don't have any low density residential, so our first signature building is Vertigo Square. Citizens will be dizzy with excitement, +3 well-being within 750 meters, and I think we're gonna put it, I think it would fit nicely right in here. We've got the space, we've got this one unit-wide gap, and that's pretty good. Let's take advantage of this strong medium density residential demand by upzoning some of the commercial areas in the center of our old town and making them mixed-use buildings. I think it's about time we find somewhere to put our high school. Our residents are pretty undereducated, but we'll have to delete some streets to make room for it. And just as I'm considering where to put the high school, we get another signature building? The Epicurean Garden. That looks nice. We can put that somewhere near our high school, but first we've got to figure out where we're putting our high school. Okay, I've decided our high school is going to go right here. And placing the high school unlocks milestone 8, Big Town. What do we get? High density housing and oil drilling. That's pretty cool. We'll get into that soon. Our finances look pretty good right now. Our revenues have surged back ahead of our expenses, and the forestry industry is driving our economy. We're still not getting any production of livestock or stone. In any case, I'll add a library as an upgrade to our high school, use dev mode to extend the surfaces of the school, and place some trees around it. I think it's about time we check in on Menna. They moved again, and she works at Le Peu. I think that's a gas station. But where's she living now? Over here. Okay. Are we ever gonna get to see her outside? Here we've got some folks waiting for a bus on Chemin de la Résistance, but it's 10:07 in the morning and there's nobody using the clockwise route of the Notre Dame loop. And why is this 686 Green Street? Well, we've managed to complete everything on our to-do list and then some. I want to thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, help out the channel. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. I'm Pylon John. Until next time, Free Palestine.